These get torqued to 85 Newton meters.
Reassembling the bolt into the motor mount.
Reattach the fan now. The AC compressor back on. Installing the water pump, just make sure the key lines up. These are 25 Newton meters. It's really important to lubricate this ring here so it slides in.
A good tip is to leave the bolts to this flange here loose and tighten them after you get the water pump in. I wasn't sure if I could reach the bolts or not, but you definitely can, and it would be a good idea to do it that way, even though I didn't.
Alright, that went in well.
Now I'm just reassembling the 3 nuts that hold the horn on.
Body lined up on its bracket, then you can tighten everything after that. Go back, tighten up the duct. That's plastic, so you don't want to over the body tight.
Here I'm tightening the hose clamp that goes to that little piece of duct.
So there's a marking on my hose, it's probably the original hose, that goes with this tab back here. And there's also one, I presume, no, there's not one on the bottom, but that will orient the hose properly.
These long reach hose clamp tools make the job a little bit easier. The lower airbox hose just kind of push in and twist. This is the gray vacuum line. Just use a trim tool, push down on the little ridge. The brackets for the intercooler now I'm reassembling. You're going to want to leave these loose until you get the intercooler on. Working on the rear intercooler brackets, and these you do want to tighten fully. As I reinstall the intercooler bracket, I'll start talking about reinstallation of the intercooler. Unfortunately, my battery died in this step. Basically, the easiest way I've found to reinstall the intercooler is to place both rubber boots onto the supercharger horns with the metal brackets underneath them, but not on top. Then insert the intercooler on the passenger side first, followed by the driver's side. Now the rubber boot is going to bunch up, and you'll have to use a plastic trim tool to persuade it around the intercooler. And don't forget to tighten the front intercooler brackets after you're done mounting. Reassembly of the modular front end now. Be sure to utilize those long bolts. It's easiest to reattach the lower radiator hose at this point too. I'll crawl underneath now to get the lower radiator clip. Reassembly of the condenser is pretty straightforward. There's just a tab on the driver's side, and there's kind of a little rubber grommet that needs inserted on the passenger side. and reassemble the bracket that holds the AC charging port. Don't forget the fan plug. And the driving lights on both sides. You'll now have to fish your cables through the hole on the modular front end on each side. Now just reattach everything, the horn, the marker lights, and you've got a few other connections too. Try to reinsert the brake wear sensor into these clips that are on the front end. And here's the trick you use in order to reuse the body clips that get stripped out. Just heat up the end of a screwdriver and put them back in, and you're good to go. Set the gap on your wrench to about 1/4 inch. That'll really help if you get stuck with these stock clamps.
Black crush tubes back in now, except we're not going to tighten them yet because you still need to make an adjustment for the aluminum bumper. But when you pulled the crash tubes out, this piece probably got stuck on the inside here, so pop that back on, and then don't forget the 10mm bolts too. But again, don't tighten these all the way.
Now it's safe to tighten the crash tubes and the 10mm in the front. This is the temperature sensor. And the last few remaining light connections. Here's the reinstallation of the bumper cover. There's 3 tabs in the front that if you get those to catch, you can then line up your 8mm bolts that go from the underneath side. It's helpful to slide the underbody protection in at this point too. And these are the 2 Torx T30s that need reinstalled. And don't forget to refill with 5 quarts of your favorite oil. Refill the coolant with about 1 gallon of 50-50 mix. You just crack the bleeder screw in the front and wait till you get bubble-free fluid flowing out of that. That's about it. I hope everything goes well for you guys. I hope the video helped out. As always, shoot me any questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.